Emotional intelligence is the subject tonight. You'll hear words like emotional quotient and other things that we supply chain people regard as soft subjects. But as you've heard me say, and you probably, if you read any of the stuff we put out, a lot of us know a lot about supply chain, but more and more of the work becomes interpersonal. And if you aspire to leadership positions, understanding how you deal with your colleagues, how you deal with your adversaries, and how you deal with your boss, and how you, generally speaking, communicate and interact, it becomes much more important, particularly as you go up the ladder. So those of us, and I think most of us, would like to move up in our careers in terms of moving, me excluded. I'm too old to think about career. I'm the oldest guy in the room by far. Those of us who want to aspire to leadership positions in career need to be constantly cognizant of how we deal with the people around us and how we lead and motivate. And that's what emotional intelligence is about. Now, Beth Williams is a professional coach on subjects like emotional intelligence and on communications and how organizations leverage the skills of their people to become high-performance organizations. This is fairly new ground to some degree or another. Many, many people are still living in the past. Command and control systems still persist. But the breakthroughs have been coming slowly but steadily. Beth has been doing this for 25 years. I've known her for a long time. I know her partners for a long time. And she has been doing this type of coaching for many years. She's got jobs in publication, publishing, and doing sales and marketing. And she's morphed into this career for the last 25 years. So, would you welcome Beth Williams?
Thank you so much. I have to tell you, I am so delighted to be here. I was able to get to your Christmas event, and I felt so incredibly, I was just a delight to talk to all of you. I enjoyed the conversations that I had with those of you I had the opportunity to speak with. But I also went away with a big Christmas present, a tower of candy. So I think it's really appropriate that I'm back here to give back now, right? I really do. So I am really delighted. The title of tonight's program is Leveraging Emotional Intelligence, right? To build capacity in yourself, your teams, and your organizations. So just like Jerry said, it's a really critical piece of the work that you do when you're dealing in your organizations doing the work you do, right? Because this really is the glue. This is the grease. This is what makes it really work, okay? So wanted to just tell you, he's really given me a great intro, so I don't need to say a whole lot more. But we do work with individuals and organizations in the midst of change, and we help organizational leaders build leader effectiveness and manager effectiveness. Really, that's what we're about. And we do a specialty in coaching technical people and operations folks. So I also like to talk about my global partner, because when we have to do global rollouts, we work with a group over in the UK, Pranis, and it's an organization that has offices around the world and has tentacles in all parts of the world. So they are good partners, and I just like to mention them. So I have a quick story for you. I want you to know I love this topic, right? Don't you love this topic? This is a good topic, right? So I want to tell you a story just to get your minds engaged in the topic and get you thinking. Because I am going to ask you, tonight's going to be a little interactive, okay? I'm going to be asking you some questions. So I want to read a story to you, and then I want you to tell me why you think I am telling you this story. So there was this woman, and she had worked in her career for many years in nonprofits, right? And she had worked for many good causes. And she wanted to be granted a wish. And her wish was a kind of strange wish. She said she wanted before she died to be able to visit heaven and hell. Strange, right? But God granted her her wish, and she was whisked off to hell by an angel. To her surprise, when she got there, she was amazed to find this big, huge banquet hall with tables filled with food and veggies and meats and drinks. Abundance. This is hell. Okay, abundance.
Kind of like an apex.
That's right, there you go. As far as the eye could see, right? And then she noticed there were all these people sitting around the table. But they were miserable. And they were starving. Why are they like that? She asked. The angel said, look at their spoons. She looked and saw handles that were so long that the people couldn't use them to put food in their mouths. This is hell, said the woman. Take me away from here. So the angel picks her up, and off they go to heaven. To her amazement, when they got to heaven, they found the same identical banquet table, as far as the eye could see, with veggies and special meats and desserts and all kinds of wonderful abundance, right? And again, there are the people sitting around the tables. But this time they were happy and they were joyful and they were well nourished. She looked at the spoons and was surprised to see that they were exactly the same kind of spoons. She said, oh my goodness, how are they to eat? And the angel said, we feed each other here in heaven. So why would I tell you that story around the topic about emotional intelligence? What do you think? What's the moral of that story?
It's about cooperation.
It's about cooperation. It's about, right, in heaven, they must talk to each other so that they can figure out how to feed each other, right? They must help each other with the spoon. They must communicate pretty well in order to make that happen. So here's the definition of emotional intelligence that I want to work with tonight. The ability to perceive and manage emotions, our own and others. Right? Simple. So, I want to build a case for why you ought to listen to me tonight. I always like to build a case for why you ought to listen to me tonight. So what are the top 10 things that are happening in the supply chain world now? I'm going to write them up here. Tell me what they are.
Supply chain analytics.
Analytics? Actually, would somebody be willing to help? Would somebody write for me so I can continue to facilitate? Who would do that? Anybody? Would you run?
All right.
Okay.
Fine.
Okay, that's fine. I appreciate it. Okay. What else?
Spelling counts.
Outsourcing.
Outsourcing. Thank you. Outsourcing, supply chain analytics.
Responding to crises.
Responding to crisis. Responding to crisis. Risk management.
SNOP.
Say that again.
SNOP.
SNOP. Thank you.
Improving forecasting.
Improving forecasting.
Lead time.
Lead time.
Reducing.
Wait, slow down.
Come on, Rob.
That's right.
Wow.
I really appreciate it.
Reducing supply chain.
Reduce, absolutely.
Was that reducing supply
Reducing
chain?
supply chain.
Oh. Global challenges.
Global challenges. Now more than ever, right? Yeah. Come on, Rutgers. What do you got for me?
Inventory management.
Managing vendors and suppliers. Nice. That's good. I'll take that.
Inventory.
Inventory.
8 more, Rob.
Partnering.
Partnering. Ooh, yeah. Nice. What do you got?
I don't know, I can't count, that's all right.
You got 10?
What is it on?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12.
All right.
I'm done.
Counting.
Okay, so I will take that. That's great. So how many of these, okay, can be solved with improvements in business planning, process design, technology, project management, communication, and teamwork? Let's go through them. Supply chain analytics, why don't you tell me what would help there? Give me the letter.
Technology.
T, technology, okay. What about outsourcing?
Process design.
Process design, okay. And technology? Process design and technology.
Business planning,
Business planning for that too? Outsourcing or crisis management?
outsourcing,
Outsourcing, business planning, okay.
Communication, also process.
Communication, right? How about crisis management?
Communication.
Communication, right?
project management.
What was that? Project management, absolutely, right. Technology? How about risk management?
Project.
Communication,
Project management, communication,
Technology.
Planning.
Planning as well.
planning. What did I have? Planning, business planning, sorry. Business. Okay. How about SOP? S, that's it, right?
SNOP.
SNOP, right? Sales and operations.
Business planning,
Business planning,
communication.
communication, technology. Improve forecasting,
communication,
communication,
Could be technology.
planning, technology, okay. Lead time.
communication.
Prayer.
Okay, I'll add that. Prayer.
Process design.
Process design, right? Anything else?
Business planning,
Business planning, okay. Supply chain. All of the above? Yes? All, okay. Global challenges.
oh,
All, okay.
going on.
Managing
Vendors and suppliers.
vendors and suppliers,
Communication,
Yeah.
communication, all. You're saying all? Okay. Inventory, you got the picture?
Yeah.
What's the picture?
Need it all.
Need it all. Okay. Picture, absolutely, I can see that you need it all, but what I want to show you, right, is you got communication, you got communication, you got communication, you got communication, 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 right? So it's all about communication, and there is not an organization that I go into, I swear to you, in 25 years, where when we're doing an assessment, they don't tell me that we have communication problems. And over the years, I actually start to snicker now a little bit, right? Because I just think it's so funny because communication is really not the cause of the problem. It is the effect of the problem. The cause of the problem is the lack of emotional intelligence. Because emotional intelligence helps you know when you need to communicate, right? It helps you know that it's important that you communicate. And it's just amazing to me because there's not, of course, an operation that doesn't struggle with communication. So I wanted to do this tonight just so that I made sure that you're with me, right? Because we're going to spend time looking at this topic and breaking it down a little bit. It is critical, Jerry said it in the beginning, it's critical to your careers individually, wherever you go. It's critical to the work you do in the supply chain field. It's absolutely critical. It's really insidious. It's in everything, right?
But-
Yes.
All the top four put in barriers that inhibits communication. They can.
The top four.
Top four.
Yes.
Putting in barriers that inhibit communication, so, I think they need to all work together.
There's no question. Absolutely. Yep, I would say that is right on. Right on. Okay. So in our experience, as I said, right, our best business processes, technology, project management cannot be successful without better communication and teamwork.
Or communication can't be successful without better business process technology.
Okay? Okay, so it's interdependent. I'll take that for sure. Okay? So let me share with you what the research says, right, about emotional intelligence so we can really back this up. Okay, very, very important. Daniel Goldman is kind of the father of emotional intelligence, right, in the mid-90s. The truth is he really isn't the father, but he's the one that did all the marketing and made it, got it out there into the world, so we credit him with that. There were 200 companies worldwide that he researched, right, about how we create, sustain, and nurture top performers in any organization, right? And this we're going to look at the difference between the EQ and the IQ, right? So when they looked at how to get to support people becoming leaders and top performers in organizations, they could go out and get more credentials, right? Go get an MBA, get more schooling, and get smarter, theoretically smarter, right? Absolutely, that would help. But only 1/3 of an increase to the top would be made up of that. What makes all the difference is 2/3 of emotional intelligence, right? Training, understanding what this is and how to leverage it and how to use it. This makes the difference. As you go up the ladder, as Jerry said, this is what you need. This is what you need to practice. And people who are younger in the room, you get this now, you're going to get there faster. I was having a conversation with Rob, and it really is very true. Once you get this stuff down, it is like magic. You have a wand, that you can wave. You can change the way conversations go. You can change the conversation. You can create opportunities where there were none, right? Just like the angel who had they had the spoons. It was the same situation, right? Okay. So, here's the reasons, the top 10 reasons why projects fail. Okay? So what I'd like to do is I'd like to have you read it off. I'm just going to go around. Can you see it okay? To read it? Okay. Have you read it and tell me is what's most helpful in that situation, EQ or IQ? Okay? So why don't we just start over here. Jay, would you read the first one?
The underestimation of complexity, cost, and/or schedule.
Is that kind of an EQ thing or an IQ thing? Maybe more IQ. Yeah, I would say more IQ. Next.
Failure to establish appropriate control over requirements and/or scope.
EQ? IQ?
I'm gonna say EQ on that.
Why do you say that?
Whenever you're saying failing to establish control, sounds to me like you're afraid to tell somebody something and you're afraid to be honest.
Right, nice. Great. And right here?
Yeah, lack of communications.
What's that? EQ.
Failure to engage stakeholders? EQ.
EQ.
Failure to address cultural change issues. EQ.
EQ.
Lack of oversight, poor project management. Guess I'll go EQ.
You go EQ? Okay. Maybe a little.
Same reason, and the failure or lack of somebody being there to do it.
Absolute poor project management is often, right? Poor communication, not sharing with the team, maybe not. Yep. Next.
Poor quality workmanship.
What do you think?
Could that be a little bit both?
It could be both. I probably think that's even more
I would say IQ and EQ, but
Yeah.
I would say more IQ.
more
You need
IQ, probably, right? Because if you're workmanship, you've been trained, it's
Yeah,
a
you
trade
need
or
to
something,
train
you're right, you're trained, very good. Okay, thank you.
Lack of risk management, that's definitely EQ.
EQ.
Failure to understand and address system performance providers.
What do you think?
Say IQ.
IQ? Okay, give you that. Next one?
Poorly planned, managed transitions, that's more EQ.
That's more EQ, isn't it? Yeah. So, This is all to say that the goal today is to show you the relationship between emotional intelligence and operational efficiencies and excellence, right? It's critical. I think you knew that, but here's what I want to do. I'm going to spend some time talking to you about the 4 quadrants or the domains of emotional intelligence today. And I want to set up this little audio clapping scale, okay? So as we go through each of the 4 quadrants, now I really want you to take a moment as we move through each one of them, and I want you to ask yourself, how good are you in this quadrant? I want you to be self-reflective, and I want you to be honest, right? Because we're all friends. It's not like you're sitting here with anybody that's going to throw you under the bus, right? So, so it's okay. And the truth is, all of us are doing these things all the time. And we're definitely better at one than the other 3. Some may be good at a lot of them. But we're definitely not good or not as good at 1 or 2 of them, right? So I want you to be honest with yourself when we go around. And here's what we're going to do. This is, on a scale of 1 to 5, this is a 1. Okay. And this is a 5! Okay. Let's wake you up. This, right? So I want to hear that. I want a little whooping, okay, if you're really good at it. So I want to practice, okay? This is the first day of spring, and here's your question to practice. How happy are you about today's weather? Come on! There's some whooping. After this winter, we need some whooping. Okay, very good. So there are 4 domains of emotional intelligence, right? Self-awareness, right? Let's talk about that a little bit. Self-awareness is all about knowing what's going on with you, right? What's going on with you emotionally, what you are feeling at any given time. Like if I were to say to you right now, I want you to write down what you're feeling. I want you to think, really, just get in touch. What's going on in your body? Because it's about getting very present. What do you feel? Are you bored? Are you feeling comfortable? You know, are you excited about this time? You know, what? Tune in. Because it's about becoming aware. And it's a physical thing too. Really, you know, if you find you have a lot of headaches, your stomach is queasy, you want to know, tune into those things. We move around in our world so quickly today. When I teach, I was telling Jay, I teach emotional intelligence courses over at Novartis. And throughout the day, throughout the 2 days of the training, I'll just say, stop. Go to the back of the book, write down, how are you feeling? Because we need to practice tuning in to find out how we're feeling, right? So for a moment, just do that for yourselves. How are you feeling? So the ability to recognize when you're having emotions and tuning into them and what this is all about, okay? Wait a minute, let me get back here. So a couple of things I want to share with you is I don't want you to make yourself wrong about the feelings. I want you to decide, notice them. They're good, they're bad. But no value judgment. You know what I'm saying? Just notice. Just notice them. And then what does it mean to you when you notice them? So getting very, very much in touch. Okay, self-awareness. So here's an example I want to give you. Your son or daughter has just gotten their license, right? And they've come home from their driver's ed, they just passed the test, and they're running out the door, taking this car and saying, bye, Mom, Dad, I'm going out with my friends. Emotional self-awareness, what would you be feeling?
Fear.
Fear, nervous, anxious, right. Somebody else might be excited for them, right? Right. Not if it's my car, right, not if it's my car. Exactly, right? That's the kind of thing. And at work, what happens when someone says to you, I have some feedback for you. Now what are you feeling?
Uptight.
Uptight. Anxious. This is what I'm talking about, okay? Any situation, you can ask yourself, what are you feeling? All right, so you really want to get in touch with that. Self-management. Self-management is really saying, okay, now that I know what the feelings are, right? How can I channel that? The ability to direct your responses into constructive channels. What will you do with it? How will you use it? Right? Now here's the challenge. You know, when I talk about self-awareness and self-management, lots of people think that they're really good at this, right?
Not all of us.
Not But self-management is about what happens when you're having a feeling that isn't good and you need to bring it out, right? So an example of this might be your buddies from college, and you were all set to go to Giant Stadium for a tailgate party, right, in a couple of months, and you learn today from your wife that her cousin's daughter's getting married on that Saturday, right? Now you have a situation to manage, because how are you feeling when you get that news? Not so good, right?
Well, the Giants play on Sunday.
Okay.
So we're good.
Okay, bad example. Bad example.
It'll be in December.
Could be December, right? But there's a definite conflict, right?
Yes.
This is about self-management. How are you going, what are you going to do in that situation? What would you do?
Giants.
What was that?
Giants game.
Johnny? Yeah, but that's not the conflict, whether you want to go or not. It's what you're going to do with your wife in that situation. Let her. Okay, yeah, and you talk about that,
Negotiate.
right? You negotiate.
Buy a ticket for your wife on Stubble.
What was that?
Buy a ticket for your wife on Stubble.
Okay.
You give in. Come on, guys.
You give in?
You give in.
Go ahead,
No
Jared.
wrong with you.
Jared.
I'm just going to add to this.
Okay.
This is a long time ago. I had been on a presentation to make a sales pitch for a consulting engagement that I really wanted, and I didn't get it. So I go back to the office, and my landlord is, who's an old business guy who's doing this as a retirement job, running this office. He looks at me and says, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "Shit, I just, I made this great presentation, but I didn't get it." He said, "Okay, get one day to lick your wounds. Don't make any sales calls today because this is going to come right through your voice. Make no sales calls. Do nothing interpersonal, essentially.
Yeah.
Do all the paperwork and all that crap, and go home and wake up the next day and start over."
Thank you for the
That was
business
great.
example.
I mean, I would never have thought. I would have immediately said, "I got to get going. I got to do something to salvage this."
Absolutely.
Best input I ever got.
Absolutely.
One day to lick your wounds. Do nothing. Don't call any clients. Don't call any prospects. Just
Perfect example. I have another one. Years ago, I was working for the Star Ledger in New Jersey and was calling on, I was in sales as well. And I remember it was a really big day for me. I had a big presentation I was going into Manhattan to do. It was going to be 800 people in the room. I was, dressed to the nines, finding my energy to be big enough to, go back to the back of the room. But I was on a sales call just before I went into the city. And I walked into the call, and the young woman that I was calling on, her energy was really a very reserved energy. I can literally remember, from a self-management perspective, pulling myself back in so that I could meet her. And there wasn't a judgment about this. It was just, my energy was very huge that day, and I needed to meet her. I'm in sales. We meet people where they are, right? That was self-management. Also probably a little bit of the next one. Managing myself, right, in the situation, but a lot of other awareness. Right? So I want to play a little video clip for you because, so just bear with me a second here. I want you to see this in action. So this is a really quick clip, okay? This is Tom Cruise, and he's practicing self-management. Let's see if we can get this up here. Whoops, how come it's not bigger? There we go. Whoops. So let me play it for you again. Let's go back. It won't let me go back. Okay.
I'm here giving you an interview and answering your questions. Can you do something really nice?
So what do you think? Good example, right? Did he do a good job?
Yes.
He did,
Yeah, he did.
right? He did. Would you like to see where when he didn't do such a good job?
Yes.
Okay, you would? All right, I'll show you another one. Let's see if I can pull it up here. Just bear with me a second. Okay? I'll give you another one. It's John Prescott. Watch this. Right? It's not it.
Yeah.
Right? Not it. So that's what we're talking about. I wanted to give you examples today of what this looks like. Self-management.
The only question I have is why is the second one wrong? You're approaching it like it's wrong.
Mhm.
You may not be.
Okay. Okay.
Why do we tolerate people striking first and not striking back? So I don't know, it depends.
But it's about building relationships, I think.
They didn't have a relationship.
Here's what I want to say. Here's what I want to say about self-management. He's a public figure. Okay? He is a public figure. So he's probably, I mean, what are you thinking of this public figure after you see this?
Not gonna vote for him.
Not going to vote for him.
Stand up for, stand
Okay.
up for.
And this
You know,
is,
we have too many people that don't stand up, and they get walked up. We got one going on in
So-
politics today.
I love this. What's your name?
Ron.
Ron. I love this, Ron, because as we get into the presentation, we're going to be talking about what we call the ladder of inference. And so I just want to hold that, okay? I just want to hold that. So don't let me off the hook. Bring it back. Okay, bring it back. But we could say that by having that reaction as a politician, the challenge is there will be people out there like you thinking that, and there will be people out there thinking something different, right? That they wouldn't vote for. Go ahead.
I think there's a difference between standing up for yourself per se and standing up perhaps for an idea that you believe in,
Mm-hmm.
or a principle or whatever.
Mm-hmm. And what's behind emotional intelligence and the self-awareness piece is really understanding and knowing what your own beliefs are, right? Knowing what you are about, what you value, what matters to you, being clear about it so that when you have to go into self-management, right, because you have a conflict, you can sit down and have a conversation with someone that starts in the I as opposed to what you did to me, right? So even in this situation with the husband and the wife, right, you could imagine a conversation that might go something like, gee, hon, I've already planned something with the guys that week, right? And I really want to go. And I'll tell you why. It only happens once every 5 years. We don't do this. These are old, good friends, and I really, I'd like to go. And when I think about, attending the event with the family, I know we'll get to see them again. This is a distant cousin. It's her daughter. Why don't you go, take your sister, go together, enjoy the day. I'm gonna go, right? I'm gonna go do this. But I wanna know, how do you feel about it? What are your thoughts? That's how I feel, right? And then you listen. How does it occur for you? That's how I'm thinking about it, right? Instead of saying, I don't know why you want me to go. I hate those family things. All we ever do is just sit there anyway. That's not emotionally intelligent, right?
And the music's so loud.
Yeah, no. You hear the difference though, right? I mean, the difference is you're saying what you want and you're owning it, you're clear. And emotionally intelligent
I
people
could
do
do the
that.
same thing. I could say, I know you don't like these family things, so go ahead, go to your game. I mean, it could happen both ways.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what we hope for. That's absolutely what we hope for, right? So, but the self-management is then what you decide to do. So here's the thing. Prescott's, we call it the amygdala in the brain. It gets hijacked, right? There was no moment between the event and his reaction. It was one fell, right?
Well, it's self-defense.
Self-defense, okay. All I'm saying is he did not have the opportunity nor take the opportunity to practice self-management. Now,
Well,
listen.
he saw the other egg coming.
Right, that may be, and Ron, you know what? He could have stopped and decided to punch him anyway. I'm not saying that would be great self-management, but I'm saying what you're looking to do here, what you want to train your muscle in, is notice when you're having a reaction, catch it, not stuff it, that'll give you a heart attack, right? Or eating disorders or other kinds of things, right? But channel it. How are you going to use it effectively to be more of who you are, to be more known to the person you're having an interaction with, so that you're saying more about what's occurring for you? Even if all you can say at this point, I'm not quite sure how to verbalize it yet, but I know something's not sitting well with me about this, and I'm owning that. So I'll have to get back to you. Maybe it's all you can muster up at that point. But at least you can channel it, okay, and begin to recognize it. You see how self-awareness and then self-management play, right?
Well, there's somebody come down here and go.
Sure,
That's self-management.
That's right.
I'm gonna go hit that guy.
So this is the next one, right? We're talking about social awareness. How aware are you of what's going on around you? What's going on with others? What do you think is the number one skill set in this particular area? The thing that it's really good to have?
Listen.
Listening, huge. What else? Observing.
Body.
Empathy. Bing, 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 bing. Empathy. Empathy. And what's the difference between empathy and compassion? Anybody? Empathy and compassion.
Empathy's feeling what someone else is feeling, compassion's feeling sorry.
Yeah, exactly. So when you are empathizing, you are really looking at the world the way he's looking at it.
You don't do that.
Right?
Are they synonymous?
No. Different. Yep. Different. So the ability to accurately read the emotional responses of others. Huge in your interpersonal relationships. Have you ever had someone say to you, sure, I'll do that? And you know they're not going to do that. Right? Can you read it? Do you pick it up? When somebody is compliant but not committed. Huge difference in the engagement of people, right? Committed means they're doing it with or without you. Compliant is they're doing it because of you, right? Or they have to. Very
And
different.
words can convey that to an extent too, right? Like I might do this versus I will.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, have you ever gone into, I have been witness to these town hall meetings, right? Where the executives are standing up there and they're telling you all kinds of great things and you can hear the room, right? The room, what's the room saying?
Yeah, sure.
Sure, right, we've heard this before. Okay, here we go again, right?
Fantastic.
Fantastic, right? And then I've been in those rooms when they've been having those meetings, and I'm telling you, the place is buzzing with them. You know, the place is right with them. The people are with them, right? You've seen this. You know this. Social
It
awareness.
also depends on the environment, for shrinking and growing.
Okay.
Determines what the root of the problem.
Yes. Whoops. Hold on a second. I want to try to end show. I want to try to show you another one here. Okay. It's really important. Let's see if I can get this up in here. Bear with me. I think that's right. Did it go? No, it didn't go. Let's see if I can. Is it going to go? Here. Usually you can
You should
skip.
just go back up.
Go back up.
Yeah, just no, scroll up. Scroll up.
Scroll up.
And it says continue the site.
Oh, thank you. I knew I could do that. I did it before. Thank you. Okay. So I want to show you, maybe not. I guess not. Let's see if it'll take a minute to load. I guess not. Okay. There's a really great clip here, and what's happening in it is you have a picture of two babies. They're sitting in high chairs. They're twins, and the mother says, "We're going to play a song for you," right? And the music comes on, and you watch the kids together, smiling at each other. Right, everything changes. That is the kind of energy, and I picked children to show you because they're like lightning rods. Do you know what I mean? They know and feel what's going on around them. So, and then there was another clip of someone singing a song, and it was a sad song, and the baby starts to cry, right? Because they're empathizing. They don't even know what, couldn't even give words to it, right? But that really exemplifies what we're talking about with social awareness, right? Is really just feeling what's going on in the room and then responding appropriately to it. Gary, how are we doing on time? Yeah? Relationship management, by far the most important one for everybody here in this room, right? The ability to manage interactions with others constructively, right? To be able to negotiate in situations, right? So so let's somebody give an example. Relationship management from the floor.
Well, isn't it the sum of the other three?
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, it's using all of the other three, right? So your awareness, managing your own, being aware of others, and then coming into relationship, and almost like I was saying before, have a discussion and get to a better place, a different place. I'm working in an organization right now, and it's a pretty not a lot of emotional intelligence. Not a lot of emotional intelligence. Very talented group of people, fabulous technicians, really bright. But I'm working right now to make the senior team a team. Because they're not, right? And what they do now is I call it, I'm holier than thou, you're worthless. I'm right, you're wrong, right? Or I'm smart and you're stupid. Because my other awareness tells me that that's the energy and the oxygen in the room. Now I want to ask you, with that floating around in the room all the time, you think it's a really productive place?
Yep.
They're getting things done. They're getting things done.
Not very well.
Not very well. People are sick. People come in late. Morale's not great. Right? Because from where they listen from, where they're listening from, ask yourself sometime, where are you listening from? They're listening from those places. So that affects their relationship management. Do you think the people that report to them are honest with them? Nope. Do you think they bring their skill set to the party and really are engaged? Yeah. Right? That's what we're talking about here. And you have the ability to generate people. Right? And it's a little bit of going back to this, right? With the social awareness, that's what I was talking about with the babies. They're generating each other. They're smiling and the smiles are growing bigger and they're moving bigger, right? Because if I am in a conversation with you and I'm present and I'm talking to you and I'm interested and I'm asking you questions and I care about what you think, I'm going to get more of who you are, right? So it becomes the power of the question, right? The power of the question.
I love that.
Right? It is the power of the question. All right, so I want to go back here because I didn't get to do this and I really want to do it. Self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship management. The 4 quadrants of EQ. So I want to hear our clapping. Okay, our audio clapping assessment. How are you at self-awareness, the ability to recognize when you're having emotions and tune into them? Good, good. Okay, now I always say, there are people out there and they know what they're thinking, but they wouldn't dare tell anybody. Right? Because
so much of that, I mean, there's so many things going on. I tell you, when I got a chance to be the CEO of a company once, in a meeting, I hadn't eaten lunch. And my sugar must have dropped like a stone that day. We had a 2:30 meeting, and a foreman said something, and I let him have it with both barrels because I didn't have lunch. You know that whole self-awareness, my sugar dropped, and my tolerance went out the window. He said something, he said it the second time, and I let him have it.
And you lost it.
And, the woman who ran our quality department said, what the hell is wrong with you? And that's what you did before.
Right,
And I told her. Next meeting we went to, she was there. She looked over at me and she said, did you have lunch?
That's right.
I mean, it's just, that's not
Exactly.
When you said applaud, I went,
Right.
like this. I don't think I'm that self-aware.
Mhm.
I didn't have a clue that.
Mm-hmm. It's really excellent because another situation I was recently in, a gentleman was on a board with a group of people, and for months, everybody sat on the board with him. Love him, great guy. And this is not a value judgment because that's important, right? It's not about good or bad, right or wrong. But just what a surprise one night when he totally lost it. I'm thinking to myself, in that particular situation, would he have been better off if he were able to share more of his feelings all along as part of the process? Would that eruption have happened? And how do we make it safe for people to share what they're feeling, right? And as leaders, you can make it safe. You generate that in the room. You're the ones that set that up to make it safe, right? Okay, good. So self-awareness. All right, self-management. What do we have here? Yeah. Self-management, it's a toughie. Right? It's a toughie. And let me see if there are a few things here that I want to share with you about that so that you can, I think it's really important because you have to be patient with yourself. You have to become aware through your self-awareness of what works for you in self-management, right? Nobody's the same. Self-management for you might be finding a good friend to say, hey, I need to talk this through. I need to figure out a way to say something in a right way. I know right now if I talk to you, I'm not going to be able to do that. So maybe giving yourself some space, right? What do you do when you're having, some people go for a walk, nature kind of makes it so that they can come back and have a good conversation. Sometimes it's reframing, right? That story about the angel is sort of a reframe too, right? So what do you need to do? Do you need to ask yourself sometimes asking yourself questions, what's good about this? What may I not be seeing that's here? So sometimes, again, asking questions that are kind of just really a different perspective to come in on. It helps in this case, okay? All right. Let's go to social awareness. How many? What do we got? Social awareness. Okay, good. Good to hear. How about relationship management? Okay, we got one! This is really, in very many ways, this is the challenging thing, right? Because back to what Jerry said, if you are self-aware and you own your awareness and you know how to self-manage, that means that you can bring forward the things that you're thinking about, the desires, the wants, the conflicts, whatever it is, you can bring them forward, right? You can read what's going on in the room so that you can choose the right words, right, to have relationship management going on. That's the full deck, that's the full set, right? Have you seen these people who are good at all four? Not a lot of them walking around. No, really, there aren't. Not a lot of them walking around, right? Okay. So EQ in action. Here's a case study, okay? I want you to work at your tables for just a few minutes, all right? Supply chain is set up to produce items in high volume. This is where you are now. High inventory levels ensure items will always are in stock. Items are shipped all over the world. Asset utilization ratio rate is at 40%. Okay? Here's where you want to be. Go ahead. Somebody read that for me. Go ahead, Ron.
This one?
Yeah.
Supply chain supports regional factories that respond to regional demand. Lower inventory levels, improve reaction time to market, improve asset utilization above 40%, which is the industry average.
So I want you to think about this through the 4 quadrants. And I want you to in your tables, tell me what you would do to get there. Is that a fair thing to talk about for about 5 minutes? 5? Okay. You're all looking at me. My other awareness says, I don't know what she wants us to do. I don't know what she wants us to do. I want your top recommendations. Maybe that's what I left out there. Where we are now, right? Got it? Where we are now. Where we want to be. Your top 3 recommendations for what should be done.
Ben, we're gonna need you, Ben.
Utilization of our network of factories.
40% use of people.
Is this a good, can you do it?
Yeah, we can do it.
You can do it? Okay.
How do you feel though?
Come on,
I
Ben.
mean, I'm taking a stab here, this isn't my business, but I want you to give me 3 recommendations, and I want you to be thinking about it through your EQ.
I would change the map.
So there's one factory.
Yes.
Yes,
That one?
Yes.
That's where you wanna be.
So these
Right? Now remember, this is about EQ, so work it in.
14
got it.
taxes that
So that's not a factory.
But I would think that, the lines are not storage.
So it's understand what's going on.
Yeah, so like the growing class.
Yeah, so how do you do that?
How I do status and stays a
So
set
it's in like a different country.
Something's going on with the forecast.
Right?
cost.
Okay, so one is the idea is forecasting at the, probably at the regional level. You need to improve your forecasting at the regional level. Find out what's going on in those regions. So better respond to that.
Communicate based on common language, such as SKUs, we're talking gallons, liters, we're talking about cases or pallets.
Yeah.
Because the region even know what customers need.
Are they asking for
The right things.
Yeah. What is that person asking for?
Overall strategy.
The factories actually, because people that are working in the factory, they, I guess, working there. They don't like work, they don't like things. I mean, everything is right.
Gonna report out.
Previous slide, they talked about plenty of inventory, 40% asset utilization.
So one of the ways you can do that is make sure that your production is as closely linked to your demand as possible. So while you might have forecasting, one idea that always comes up is to migrate to a
organization with the ideas like
system so that whatever you sold is
Where we want to be.
manufactured. So you're responding as much to the demand as possible. So you're not dependent, so highly dependent on something. You might still need to forecast, but it's like you build, you respond, and that's and to whatever that gets sold.
Also prioritize.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to prioritize everything that is actually sold as your highest priority. You're going to fulfill on that demand. So you're essentially what you're demand sensing, and then you're using total manufacturing to increase your utilization of your factory, so that everything that's sold is a dollar attached to that.
So it's endangered.
Right.
Whatever comes in that day actually gets, I guess, made. It doesn't get sold to anybody, it's made. So you would have to need a good supply line, good suppliers. So whenever you needed what came through, you had to need a supplier. Make sure that your suppliers have great communication.
Right.
So it's gotta be a burning platform. What's driving the change?
So community 3, so.
Engaging.
So, I got demand sensing, implementing a better
Giving people the opportunity to buy.
And, increase responsive time.
Okay, just a minute more.
So that everything is, so for everything that's going sold, your supplier will then fulfill on your demand, on what just got built. So everything's moving very rapidly through your supply chain.
You guys did a great job.
Your asset utilization.
Yeah. Right, very good.
We got it.
You got it? Okay, woo-hoo! All right, let's pull it back together. Would you like to go first? Just report out.
I have no idea what they said.
You can read it.
Alright, so we came up with, having demand sensing and going into a pull system. That way, with synchronizing and it will improve asset utilization and improve inventory. So pretty much switching into a pool system, so where your inventory levels start going down, and anything that's needing to be sold is automatically made. So in regards to the subject, I guess there would be better communication between all levels within the supply chain to be able to react quickly and increase responsive time. So they all have to be,
So they all have to be communicating.
Yeah.
So what would
And
you,
cohesive, yeah.
right, what would you do with all the pieces of the chain? Like how would you start this change?
Yes, maybe part of it would be ensuring that your suppliers can keep up with demand and ensure that they can deliver. How much can they deliver? What their I guess capacity is towards that, because we're relying on them to keep bringing everything in, because we're only making it as it is sold. So if they fail, we fail.
Right.
So I'll say making sure.
So I'm not going to do I'm going to, in the interest of time, but I want to just say here, I love what you said, right? That's great. Put the EQ bookends on that now. Just tell me what would happen in the dynamics with I love what you said, because you said we would go and talk to them, right? So when we find out, we'd state what we needed, right? Or we know what we want to do here, we know, right? Self-awareness, what we've got to have happen, right? Go ahead.
I'm sorry, no, I'm sorry. I don't know.
Okay. That's your,
But our group came at it a little different.
good, let's hear it.
We looked at this as a paradigm change. If you flip back to where we are.
Oops.
That's a paradigm of what, 15 years ago, Jay? At least. And so you go to people in your team and say, guess what? We're going to do lean, and we're going to do that supplier management stuff. And they're going to look at you and say, everything's fine. We're going to do that. Because that's where they're coming from. So if you're looking at how others see it, that's how they're looking at it.
Right.
So plowing the ground, those answers are right.
Right, those
But
answers
they're
are
the
right.
technical answers.
Right.
Plowing the ground by making those people understand that they're going to be part of something better. And the paradigm is going to change because circumstances are changing. Because if you go to the next where we want to be, is the paradigm of the 21st century or close to it.
Right.
Regional factories, lower inventory. So these are people used to, that's the old paradigm. The new paradigm says, so we need to do all four things. And it's all about plowing that ground to be able to start the process, because you can't get to lean without getting people to say, we need to do lean.
Right. So isn't it, what you're saying, isn't it an internal selling job? Right? Because I always used to say, when people would say to me, you're in change management and you came out of sales. I said, yeah, sales is change. You go in, right? Somebody's doing something different and you're selling them on doing something new. And I want to say that it's never selling them. It's listening. Good salespeople listen, right? Listen them into a new way. Because you have to make whatever you have connect. So it's a good exercise because you're technical, great, okay? Really good. What I want you to see is, what would you need to do to internally sell the chain all the way down the line to this new way so that they were engaged and committed and not just doing it because they didn't want to lose your business. And they weren't going to really be doing it with the kinds of efficiency that you were looking for, okay? So that was sort of the exercise. That's what I wanted you to get out of it, okay? So here I want to share something with you. Building engagement. Have you ever heard of the Johari window, right? Okay, so again, here is the self, right? And here are the others. There is a public you, something that everybody knows about you, right? There is a private you, the things you don't choose to share, okay? When you're working with people, there's things they don't choose to share, right? Then there's things that other people actually know about you that you don't know. That if you were willing to have them tell you, you would grow. You would probably be a better you if you could really hear them, right? So if you were open. So what we like to say is, if you self-disclose when you're talking with people a little bit more, I'm a little concerned about these changes myself. I've been doing this for 40 years, and I'm not excited about having to make the change, but I can see the marketplace is going that way, and I know we need to go. Are you going to come? Because we really need you, Jay. We've got to have you with us. You know? And then the unknown is, right, something that they know about you. What's your name?
Amanda.
Amanda. Amanda. Okay, good. Amanda. So, Amanda, I've only met you tonight for just a few minutes. And we had a conversation. But I know that you're a leader in the future. I can see, based on our conversation, the work ethic that you have, right? I can see the possibility for that. Now, I'm not saying that you can't, but I'm a little older than you, and I could see you moving into places and making a real difference as this whole thing in the supply chain thing shifts. Because I think you probably have the interpersonal skills to help that work, and that's what it's going to take in the future. So I can see that, right? Now, if I can see that, and I can share that with her, she's probably growing, right? A little bit more engaged, right? So if we can grow this app, tap into insights and resources from others, tell others and share ideas, then the unknown becomes less, and we have a lot more to work with. 10 minutes, okay, here we go. We're going to speed it up. Okay, relationship management. I want to give you some of the things you need to make this happen, okay? This is a tool here. 3 perspectives to building trust and commitment. It's a balancing act. Remember I said to you before, questions, right? Number 1 thing is inquiry. Ask, how do they see it? Their perspective, what's important to them? Ask questions. Someone said, big skill, listen. Listen and ask questions. Ask creative questions, out-of-the-box questions, right? How does that occur for you, right? Open-ended questions, right? Then you want to acknowledge, oh, I can understand how that would be true for you. Or I can understand that is a concern. I think that's important. We need to look into that. You're acknowledging their contribution. Advocacy is where you get to say how it looks for you. You go back to your self-awareness, your self-management, right? And you begin to talk, explain how you see it, your perspective, your thinking on it, right? You heard this in the husband and wife story, right? Right? But you might first go to the wife and say, honey, tell me a little bit about your relationship with your cousin. You know, are you guys really tight? You know, that would probably not be a good question because it's a closed question, but tell me, you know, it's been a while, right? You know, you inquire something about that, right? Who else is going? You know? And then you'd advocate. Acknowledgement is key, right? This builds commitment because people feel heard, validated, and acknowledged. Now they're resting. That emotional intelligence thing is also about energy, right? They're feeling safe, they can share. Something we call the ladder of inference, okay? And I want to talk to you. It's a pool of information. Something happens. We are doing this all day long. There are 7 rungs on the ladder. I'm going to read them to you, okay? We do this every moment of every day. You're doing it right now, okay? There's raw data. You're here at this meeting. You're sitting at the table. You're listening, raw data. You're filtering specific information. Right? What's happening for you, right? You're filtering. This is useful to me. It's not so useful. I'm not sure what I can do with this. I really like this. I know I can do something. I can take this back and work on this with, right? You're doing that. Meaning, you're creating meaning from it. That's the next step in the ladder. Interpretation of the information. Then there are assumptions, right? That's the 4th step, assumptions, and that's where the emotions come in. You make some decisions right there. You begin to tell a story about this event, right? Right, and then the emotions develop you start to develop your conclusions. Was this a good presentation? You're gonna fill out evaluation forms. This whole thing is gonna happen right now. It's happening, right? You're gonna adjust, right? You're gonna take your beliefs about the world and how presentations like this should go, and you're gonna adjust this experience. And then finally you're gonna take some action. You're going to decide, wow, this was really great. I'm going to take something back. I'm going to try it. I'm not going to do anything with it. That was a really nice presentation. I loved the dinner. I loved the speaker. I enjoyed the people, but I don't do anything with this. We do it all day long with everything. We have a relationship to the experiences that we're having all day long. We make them mean something, and we act or don't act on them. So here's the important piece, the drum roll here, right? Data, interpretation, conclusions, action. There's actually 7 steps, right? They read them to you, but you do that and you inquire. Really, I want to know from Gary. I could ask Gary to tell me his story about tonight, right? And he could walk up that ladder and tell me. And then I could share with Gary my story about the night. And then we could compare notes and decide together what we were going to do. This is interpersonal relatedness on the job, working. We have this new way we want to do supply chain in the new world. Are we walking up and down the ladders? Okay? So supply chain, you want to use emotional intelligence to get to that excellence in communication, to really understand, have you made the inside sale? Have you made it safe? Have you listened to somebody, acknowledged them, so their contribution is really part of it, right? Have you self-managed, brought your own, advocated for yourself as well? Because that is the grease that will make the supply chain even more efficient. Right? It's not just the technical map. I always just say to somebody, you can have a Venn diagram, you can have a great business plan, you can have the best strategy in the world. You can't bring the people, you're not going to get it done. Right? So, I have a giveaway tonight. There's an emotional intelligence report that I would like to make available to someone. So if you will leave me your business cards right here on this table, then I will pick one of you to get an emotional intelligence report that will rank your emotional intelligence. What's great about it is that you can really see where you can work. It's a wonderful report. It teaches you some of the things that you specifically have to do.